Hello everyone, welcome to my next Skyrim VR video. Today, after I have played for quite a while and I have changed many different mods in the course of the last months, I have decided to make a new character, and this video will really just be me creating the character and setting everything up in game, and the next video will then be the actual start. So this is really just meant for the people that want to follow along from the start and want to understand how I set up my different mods. Alright, let's do this. Yes, mods are indeed enabled. So, here we are. This is Realm of Lorcan. That's an alternate start mod where you can spawn and distribute yourself somewhere in the world and get some basic gear that you want, and you can also choose the different standing stones and classes and so on, so things that just allow you to create your character as you wish. And I am going to create an Imperial this time. And the backstory, or the story here that I want to do, is that I'm also going to do the Civil War quest line in addition to the general Dragonborn questline, of course, which I haven't finished yet with the other character. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to do, playing an Imperial that kind of got lost, or like he's not yet in the military, but he's just hanging out in Whiterun and comes across the dragon, becomes a Dragonborn, and in the course of the Dragonborn questline he decides that he also wants to contribute to the Civil War. Let's see. In general, I'm pretty fine with this. And then, oh, why not? I mean, it doesn't really matter to Okay, let's do that. I'm not sure if I can ever take myself seriously with this preset, but I don't have to see myself, so maybe it fits. That's maybe more like it. Yeah. He has seen some shit. Yep. Let's do that. That looks unhealthy. That too. Wow. Okay, of course, I am always called Kangar. I have to be. I know, my other character was also Kangar, but it's just who I am. Okay. Here we are in the realm of Lorcan. And everything has to be set up. In general, you can read the welcome note here. There's not much happening and so on, but yeah. Can get basic spell tomes, some money, and that's it. So here, if you're going there, this is a portal to wherever you want to go, and these are distributed throughout the country. So what I am going to do first is I am going to use the Lover's Stone, which allows me to level all my skills a little bit faster. Because I am going to use Spellsiphon with Weapon Throw VR, wearing heavy armor, throwing weapons and doing destruction and conjuration magic all in, at once. I think that's the best way to do it. And in this building you can find some armory that you might want.
Be careful.
Yeah, sorry. You might want to wield when you start. What I'm doing is, of course, the Imperial Sword. What else? And some steel armor. I would take iron armor, but there is none, so I have to do steel armor here. That's not what I meant. Okay, get rid of these. And use them. I actually also don't need that one, but I will keep it for now, you never know. I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna keep that for now. So, here I am with steel armor. Where's my sword? The hell? Oh, I think I just didn't have no weapons out in general. Yeah, so that's nice. So far, so good. Gonna check if they have some potions also or other things that I might want.
Take a look.
Yeah. Main sword, no. No, I think that's all good as it is.
Fight well.
Thank you. And you?
Yes,
Yes.
this one needs something. Take a look.
I think that's also pretty good. Don't want to get myself overpowered
Alright,
from
then.
the start. I could also use one of these amulets here, although to be honest I think that's also a little overpowered already. Just gonna go with basic stuff here. So that was my inventory. The next and last part will be actual settings. Don't swing. So let's first stand here on a plane surface and do some VRIK calibrations. Technically I don't have to do that again because it's already calibrated from my other character, but I just want to walk you through the process because it's really easy to do. So you select the power, you use the power, and then you have this calibration menu. You select your size, so you can make yourself taller if you want to. But then, of course, yeah, you are taller in game, so depends on what you want. I just use the default size. You first select your size here, and then when you're satisfied with your general size, with your height in size in comparison to the rest, you calibrate the VR scale. And now when you're done and you reach down to the ground, your hands should pretty much be on the ground, which is the case, so everything is properly calibrated. You can actually check if that is good as it is if you check the VRIK calibration options here. That actually is very nice. So the player height should be pretty much around 0, and the VR scale should be the only thing that is adjusted, more or less. So that means that everything is properly calibrated for you. You can do some other things like the arm length or the different sizes and so on. But this is of course also personal preference and depends on your arm and so on. So I know that my arms are long, so I'm gonna elongate these a little bit, and I have a little bit larger hands, so that's fine. So this feels pretty good. Also means that if I extend my arms, no weird glitches happen and so on. So that works pretty well, I would say. Alright, so that's that. On a side note, if you have a look at VRIK, just discovered this, and adjust the hand size, keep in mind 0.9, adjust the hand size to very small or very large. It's absolutely ridiculous. it's hysterical. This is the other way is also very nice. Just to show it to you. Yep. Bitch slap motherfucker. If you ever play a character that wants to fight unarmed, please do this, please. Alright, back to 0.9. That is this. So, something that you should keep in mind is that the hand size is in fact also changing the size of your weapons. So if you have a very large hand, you will have a super large weapon and the other way around. Alright, magic. We have more options to choose, and that is for me basically mainly the Smilodon menu, in which I will disable almost everything, because I mainly use it for the AI stuff. I'm personally of the opinion that I'm just too immersed in the battle that I don't really think about these attacks of opportunity, for example. Casting a spell. I'm always casting a spell, and I'm also power attacking regularly and so on. So this is kind of annoying if that's always the case. Yeah, I'd see that it makes sense, but these things are personal preference, of course. If you like them, use them. I will not use them. The melee attack damage boost does make sense. I'm not entirely sure yet if I actually want to do that. I will. So the thing is that I'm also throwing my weapons, and then they are not melee anymore. But then again, I can balance the throwing of weapons very easily. And but I will actually leave that off for now and maybe change that later. I can also change it with simply balanced, because Spellsiphon is balanced against melee. So since I'm using the two together, I think I'm gonna leave that off. But I'm not entirely sure though. It could be that this changes later, just for the record. Damage reduction against massive targets. Yes, I think that's fine. Dragons, Centurions, Giants, yeah, they should take some hits. This is all not a thing. Dynamic combat, time blocking and stamina modifiers for all actors on the battlefield. It's not me, just everyone. I don't actually use them, especially time blocking. I'm going to use Spellsiphon timed warding in this case, and I'm going to use the minor performance improvement in this case. Alright, that was Spellsiphon. No, that was Smilodon. Then there are some more things. There are options for Onix weathers. In this case, it's unfortunately a mod that you cannot get yet, but it's technically the same as Obsidian weathers. And the options just change the color saturation and these kind of things, but honestly, I've checked multiple times and I always prefer the default version. So I'm gonna not touch that. I personally like unlimited shouting with a little bit, at least like 50% cooldown. I just like shouting every now and then, especially with VRIK. I also have shouts, individual shout cooldowns, and this shorter shout cooldown. So essentially, I can shout very often, but the main thing is I forget it anyways during the battles. But I just want to, if I don't forget it, I want to be able to use it because it's cool. And that was this. The rest is in the mod configuration menu. So let's start with the next weapon. Throw VR has some presets, and I'm obviously using my own selection. In fact, I have changed these special settings here since I last used it, and I'm now using a little bit more aim assist here. This will probably be adjusted in the next version. Yeah, honestly, it's just frustrating if you don't hit, and it's sometimes hard to aim with the controllers and so on. There's something else that is not part of the preset because it's obviously personal preference, and that is the button. I am using the grip button of my index controllers, and if you want to do that, I strongly recommend also using the button release when untouched. That means it's not the squeezing, which is the regular grip button thingy that releases, or the stop of the squeeze that releases your weapon, but it's in fact only when you stop touching your entire controller, which you cannot see right now here. That means that if you squeeze your weapon while you do some melee attacks, which I always do, you won't accidentally throw your weapon. You will only throw it when you actually really let your fingers lift off the controller. And that is that. Then there are some other things. Storm lightning, I'm pretty happy with the default preset actually. So I think it's obviously default anyways, but there's some other things, and that is the fork as a general. Yeah, I want to have the fork hostile. That means that a lightning strike can kill me or other things, and it just adds that little extra sense of danger if you're in a thunderstorm. I like it. Simply balanced, I recommend you use, but I don't actually change it for now. I think the game should be balanced without simply balanced. I was discussing heavily with Arctel about the new changes in Spellsiphon and so on, and the newly released Spellsiphon version 4.0. We hope will not need simply balanced or any other balancing thing. It should be balanced. Yes, Obis. Yes, I want to use Obis, so I have to enable it. And just want to lower the number of extra bandits a little bit, and that's it already. Thing specials. I don't need them, nope. What else? This time I have added things like Lawbringer here. I've added a few more mods for the Civil War questline because I want to play with this. Haven't done it ever, and I think these are pretty nice. Actually, never checked that. Just no, don't have these installed. Frozen, electrocuted, combusted. I'm not sure if this is still the case with the latest version. I didn't bother updating because honestly you never change a running system. This one is like 2.95 or something, and there's one bug, and that is the other effects. The sun damage burns all corpses all the time if you have it like this, and that needs to go down to 0. Just probably if you have a later version that is not even necessary, but if you use frozen electrical combustion and you encounter the bug that all your corpses, everything that you kill, always just burns to ash piles, that is the sun damage here. Then the last part, better resource warnings. These give you visual and audio feedback for your stats of health, magicka and stamina. You have the heavy breathing for stamina, which you will probably miss in fights. You have the heartbeat for health, which is pretty strong as an effect. And you have a flashing screen. I think that's also vanilla already. So I think that is that's pretty good. But I want to add a magicka option here for just giving me a desaturated image, black and white image here. And it's going to start at 67%. And just gonna black and white my image for 50%. I think that's pretty good. This is obviously personal preference, but that's just how I like it. I used to have blue as an overlay, but I will also use stamina overlays with green. And I think that's just making life a little easier if I only have one actual color overlay and the other is taking the color out of things. So I'm actually not entirely sure how these will play together because as I said, I used to have just red, green and blue as a visual overlay or color overlay, but they were fighting each other sometimes, so always only the last one got applied, and that kind of didn't really make so much sense, so I'm trying this now. So for stamina, that's the actual only thing that I want to have green here with the same percentage. And the same magnitude. Okay, checking the health options. I think that is fine in vanilla. You have a little bit of a flashing thingy. And that is the heartbeat, slow heartbeat and fast heartbeat. That's pretty good. And I'm happy with these in default, as a default for better resource warnings. Okay, so I think I'm done. I've checked everything here. Checked all the menus. I have my my gear, and the last thing to do is to actually start Spellsiphon, and you do that by reading the Spellsiphoning book. Oh, I think I can drop that. That's pretty much identical to the MCM. Yeah. So you can read the Spellsiphoning books, and that's the book that you will have in your inventory anyways. And then you read it the first time, you take the tomes here. And then you can read the book. That gives you some background information about the lore, which I will not do right now. You can do that, of course. And then you have the that's new now. You have elemental animation, binding, discharge in your inventory, and these are brand new. So so that means that you have to unlock the abilities that you are used to, like discharging and binding, depending on your actual power, on your actual magic skill. And the elemental animation, that's an entirely new way of comboing spells, which is part of Spellsiphon 4.0. So I recommend you check that out. It's pretty good. There were a lot of balancing changes and a lot of news on new spells and so on. So it's really the way to go now. And also, it's not as chaotic as before because you actually don't have all your spells from the beginning, so you have time to learn everything, and it's still balanced. Hopefully. And then there's the Spell Siphoning Research Book, which allows you to do some settings. So first of all, you can learn all the powers. Secondly, when binding, I want to have the secondary option of reshaping my spells on the long press. That means, oh yeah, that's just the default. That means that I can change my spells tactically depending on whether I find single or multiple opponents. Then some other thing that I use is the imbue when rebalancing. And that actually should interrupt the power, because what I have is a gesture, a VRIK gesture that rebalances, and that means if I already have a drawn spell in my hand, I will, instead of rebalancing, just imbue myself with that spell, and if I don't have a spell, I will get draw and ward in the hands. So so that's the way I use it. Spellsiphon is very, very flexible, and I really recommend you check the things out yourself. There is no right way to do that. It's all, many things are really just up to you, which I like. So that's that. And now I have read these books, and if I now close the menu here, I get the quest journal for Spellsiphon. I don't really need the tutorial, but I will do that actually just as a test in this playthrough. You can now decide whether you want to have the tutorial quest or you don't want to have it, and if you don't want to have it, you can decide to at least have the achievement quests. But yeah, so I'm gonna do the tutorial quest just to check if everything works. And now I have all my quests here, and I get all these things and so on. That's very nice. And now setting up bind, that is the one shout I will always use. And doing that, I have ward and draw. And doing that, I can reverse it. It's a VRIK gesture, so I did that already. And now I can fight very nicely with both a sword and Spellsiphon. And if I need to defend myself, I can always just switch to ward on the left hand here. Cool. So that is this. I think I'm ready to jump into the game. So I will now save. And the next video will be me walking through that portal and actually doing the first part of my playthrough, where I will just start a Dragonborn quest line. Nothing fancy, and I had initially thought that I wanted to do the companion quest, but I seem to have a bug where my game crashes when I enter the Jorvaskr basement, the living quarters, and I haven't found a way around this, but it was there already for my entire last playthrough, so it doesn't seem to be problematic in other ways, so I'm just gonna ignore it. Okay, and that is it for today. Yeah, so now you know how I set up my game, and see you in the next video for the proper gameplay. Bye!